what's up? I was thinking about a greater implication of liberty today as I'm driving to work. I hear Ron Paul talk. The one thing that he doesn't have the opportunity to do is expand on a greater view, bigger picture, because debates don't allow you to do that. Debates are really designed for sound bites, 30 seconds to 60 seconds. You can't explain very much in 30 to 60 seconds, honestly. I think that's especially true of big concepts, and that's what Ron Paul talks about. But to further what he's talking about with liberty, and specifically about jobs, just kind of wanted to give you an idea of what I see as an ideal for not job creation necessarily, although it is, but is at the same time, more or less, how to formulate companies properly. And by companies, I mean people, because people make up companies, not the stock market. As a matter of fact, I have quite a bit against the stock market, and if I owned a company, it wouldn't be listed, no matter how big it was. Outside investors have nothing to do with my company or the people who own the company, which goes to my next point. The way that a business entity should be formed, a company, a group of people, really should be this. If you think about a factory, whose job is more important, the CEO or the lineman? Now, if either one of them doesn't show up for work, if the lineman doesn't show up, the line stops. If the CEO doesn't show up, then important business doesn't get done. Which one's more important? Neither one, because they both impede the complete progress of the company. Not necessarily to equal fashion, but what difference does that make? What really makes a difference is productivity. The way that companies really should be formed is in equal ownership, all shares, and there is no stealing of value from the company through the stock market. If it were like that, all the employees would not only want to work harder, because that just means a greater paycheck for them, essentially, but they would also police themselves. So if someone were lacking in work ethic or morality or anything like that, that person wouldn't be there long. And it's self-policing at its best, because they would also encourage each other to do the best work that they could do and find the most improvements, to work together. And because the janitor is just as important as the CEO, they're actually friends. They're not at each other's throat. The janitor makes the same amount of money as the CEO, believe it or not. Now, a lot of people would say, oh, wait a minute, now that's like communism. No, it's not. And the reason I say that, I didn't say that you couldn't go to different companies, and that's where things would be different. Different companies would have different pay scales, and pay is essentially profit divided by the employees. Certainly you have some investment into the business that you need to make, materials, property, energy, whatever it may be, whatever those costs are. But the profits divided equally amongst the employees are what really, that's your paycheck, whether you're the CEO or the janitor. So it's not about what you do, it's about how well you do it. So, for an example, you might look at the want ads, and you might see, this is want ads of the future, where these kind of businesses permeate, and they're encouraged to do business with one another, businesses of like mind, businesses that are employee owned, an equal share. But the want ad might look like this. It might say something like third quarter profit per employee, X amount, $12,000, $30,000, $100,000, whatever it may be. Each company is different. So if you're not so good a worker, you might work for a company that works with a lot of people that are not so good workers. If you're a great worker, you're working at one of the best companies. Obviously, there's a pay difference between those two companies as well. What does that do? It makes it fair. It makes it absolutely fair. Doesn't matter what the position is. It matters. So guess what? Google, the president of Google, will be paid the same as the janitor at Google, but the janitor is the best at his job. And if they decide that one job is too easy, then that's a simple change. You just add more to that job. It's a really simple formula, but obviously the powers that be don't want that type of formula out there. Although I see this as, I'll go way back in this conversation, but I see this as a perfect fit to what Ron Paul talks about as liberty. Not having small government, letting the private sector do its business in a proper way. And when I say the private sector, I don't mean the private sector that exists in corporate America today. I'm talking about the real private sector, which is people. Probably the closest people that have it right, or people that have it closest to right, I should say, are the Amish. I'm sure some pretty smart people in that they are an actual community. Doesn't matter what, to me at least, when talking about liberty, it doesn't matter what the cause of their coming together is. It's the fact that they are a community. Well, if you think about work in the same way, which you should, because it's for most people the one defining part of their life, and it pays the bills, quite frankly. You want it to be fair. There's nothing unfair about liberty, and if you think about liberty in action through your work, you would think it's not about what you do, it's about how well you do it. How hard do you work? How productive are you? Someone like Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, do they produce anything? Do they make anything? Do they make a world a better place? No, they don't. Maybe people that work for them do, but they themselves don't. What they make is money for themselves. It's called capital gains. Another discussion. But at any rate, let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you think about this proposed type of business that we could be doing with one another. It's actually not it's not the same as what you think about today as employee-owned businesses. Those are not equal pay scale. It's still pretty much corporate America. And the stock market is still involved with those companies. So those would, if you could convert them, great, but I highly doubt that. The forces that be would not allow that to happen. But in the formulation of new businesses, let me know what you think about this concept, about equally owned and equally paid employee-owned companies. By the way, just as a caveat, these companies don't do anything in the way of benefits, because you're earning a lot more than corporate America at this point, because the pay is of equal and fair value. Everybody's paid the same, so you're getting a much greater share. The profit is valuable employee. So again, just throwing that out there. That's not the type of decisions that your employer should be making, and quite honestly, that takes the idea of liberty out of the picture again. Don't allow your employer to make decisions that your employer shouldn't be making for you. If you know someone if you happen to work for a health insurance company and they're experts, hey, maybe, I don't know, but most employers are not experts in that field to tell you what to do. So don't do it through there. You need to make your own decisions. But if you're paid a lot more money, you can afford to do that. It's not going to be a big deal. You'll have plenty of money to take care care of what you need to take care of and more. But at any rate, let me know what you think. See you guys. Bye-bye.